No, even 9 people are waiting.
Where are you seeing this statistic?
Yeah, so now we are live. Just
okay.
Check. Oh yeah, we are online and we can start. Well, I was thinking about how to introduce you, and now I think that I will give you this opportunity to introduce yourself. My name is Dima. Hello, everyone. I am Chief Health Officer of Axon Partners, and in the terms of Holacracy, I'm lead link in the company. And today we're gonna have hopefully a hard talk about what is good and what is bad in Holacracy, and also what is bad in hierarchy. Irina, can you please introduce yourself and say a couple of, well, not a couple, maybe a few words why you like the hierarchy so much?
Hi, thank you, Dima. Hi, I'm Irina Nikitina. It's always tough to present myself. It's quite easy to do in Russian, because what I say is, hi, I'm Irina Nikitina, I'm Baba Yaga of юридический market, legal market. And that's why I'm usually opposite partners. I'm not so big fan of hierarchy, neither of holacracy. I'm just a big fan of good communication.
Okay, thanks, Irina. Clear enough. But I'm not sure that this was really honest, but let's check this later. And now let me introduce Joe, whom I met a week ago. We had a call, and I understand that someone in the world also is thinking about either it is possible to use Holacracy for the law firm. So, Joe, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes. Hi, Dima. Hi, Irina. Hi, everyone. My name is Joe, or Jo in German. By background, I'm a lawyer, a German qualified lawyer and a mediator. I'm also a law firm consultant and facilitator in law firms for several years. So I've worked with many partners of big and small law firms. And since last October, I'm a partner of Encode.org, which is a tech and consulting company completely run by Holacracy. But not only run by Holacracy, we also integrated Holacracy in our LLC legal agreement. So we actually take Holacracy one step further into ownership and investor rights. Encode.org's purpose is going beyond employment and liberating purposeful work. And my own personal or individual purpose is I want to combine law and people, and I provide a framework for change, be it as a mediator or a consultant or as a partner of Encode.org. And yeah, that's for now. I like Holacracy because it's really pioneer work in the world. It offers something to work differently together, and just for this spark of innovation and doing something differently, I really adore Holacracy for a start.
Good. You like to do everything in different way. Okay, so let's begin from our first starting question about, does the organization structure really matters? So all the companies, all the successful companies are the same. I mean, in terms of success, and which part is for organizational structure? Which part of success is for the organizational structure, and how it matters the whole organization? Who can begin?
I can begin. Okay. And I would like to draw the picture a bit bigger to answer this. So let's say, how much does a self-organized structure, so be it Holacracy, matter for the success of the organization? And I think really the success of the organization and of self-organization depends on 3 elements. The first element is the organization, and this includes culture and structure. The second element are the people. Are they willing and able to follow a self-organized model? So that's the second, the people. And the third is infrastructure, be it software or rooms and so on. So yes, it matters, but alongside with the three other elements and their sub-elements.
Irina, do you have a position about that?
I want to just a little bit confront of your thesis, all successful organizations are the same. Did I get you right? Because it seems to me not. The definition of success is different with different organizations. And it's quite an interesting how organizations mark their success, how they define their success. But as we come into law firms, especially national law firms, it's definitely, you know, spinning around the founding partners. So founding partners, they are guys who structure organization, who lead the organization, and who define what success is. That's why I said before, it's not about structure. It's about good communication. Because communication sucks not only in law firms, but sometimes I see that even within the partnership, communication is the most critical thing for the success.
When you say national companies, first of all, which nations do you mean? I mean, Ukraine, Russia, or?
Yeah, you know, the context is I'm working with a Russian-speaking region of post-Soviet Union countries. So that's the context I'm working with, and this is partners that I'm very, very in close cooperation with. But I communicate quite often with my colleagues in UK. I don't know why, but communication sucks in bigger law firm too. That's why a lot of our communication is about communication in law firms and in partnership. The sizes matter. Size really matters because the bigger organization you have, the bigger problem with communication become. And it's really interesting. I really appreciate your share her experience, how communication works with Holacracy. Because I know where lack of communication in hierarchical structures. The more level you have, the more layers in organization you have, the more communication sucks. But in Holacracy, they're completely, you know, flat structure. And it seems to me, and I would be eager to know how it works with Holacracy.
Good. Yes. Can we take one issue of that and let's try to imagine how this communication would work in hierarchy, and then as opposite to that in the hierarchy. Can we take this question, Irina? We need an example. Can you give us an example?
Okay, let's say the very simple example. I think the simplest, maybe even imaginary. Like a managing partner coming in the morning to office, you know, passing the reception area, client area to his corner office, and think, we probably need to redecorate our reception area. So how this example sounds to your context?
Okay, so let me pick this example up. Wonderful. So in Holacracy and in Code.org's world, which is moving even one step beyond Holacracy, really, you have got, let's say, 3 major areas for communication, Irina. One is communication or decision-taking on ownership and investor rights, okay? Managing partner, all the other partners are owners, and so on, yeah? So profit distribution, and so on. The second, area where you can talk about is work governance. So who is responsible to decorate the entrance, yeah, in the law firm? And then, like, responsible, who's got the authority and the accountability to do this? This would be a role, yeah? And this role can decide by him, or the owner of this role can decide by him or herself alone without asking anyone. And second, Holacracy deals with work operations. So this is perhaps a project of the managing partner or even of the secretary sitting in the entrance. So she would tell people, oh, I've looked at this sofa and this whatever, yeah, painting, and this is what I'm going to do. It costs this much. This is my budget. Here we go. So you have got these three main areas, and they are all decision taking takes place based on Holacracy, or communication is really, you do what you may do. You don't have to ask for feedback. You just go. And if others have a tension, a so-called tension, they would raise it in either a governance or a technical meeting. So very structured and very based on authority you have by role and not by position. So probably it would not be the managing partner being accountable for the entrance, but someone else.
Well, to continue what Joe just said, Irina, just a second, and I will give you the opportunity to say how it usually works in the hierarchy. What we would do, we would have a meeting, a tactical meeting on which we usually I don't know, decide what is the agenda of the meeting, because each guy has many ideas of what we can improve. Usually we know that we have 1 hour or 2 hours for such meetings. We decide the agenda and we prioritize the questions. Okay, this let's imagine this is going to be the question which we will discuss. Let's redecorate our office, and it's my idea as the CEO. When I start this conversation, I explain that we need to redecorate the office because we need this, this, and that. And next, our meetings are facilitated quite strictly, and we have a couple of rounds of this discussion where all my colleagues can comment on my idea, or they can suggest their ideas, or someone can be opposed. If everyone agrees with yes, we need to redecorate, someone has the ideas of what we can change, or maybe someone is opposed, then we need to integrate our decisions. Maybe we need to, maybe it is impossible to redecorate our old office. Let's move to other office. Maybe it is the idea, and we need to somehow integrate all the issues. And as a result of this discussion, everyone should be agreed to the meeting, to the decision. So we cannot take a decision by the majority. Everyone should be agreed to the decision. And after that, we need to decide whose role is to implement this. As Joe said, we need a role. So it is not my authority to assign this to someone. We just must have the role. If we do not have the role, then I am, as lead link, have to decide how to solve that. We need to either have another meeting and make a role for that, or I have to solve everything by myself as a lead link, because we do not have a role for that. So this is how it works in Holacracy.
Let me add one more thing, if I may. Yeah. I think the even more interesting situation is how much does everyone get paid at the end of the year, for example. So how do we do this at encode.org? Yeah. First of all, if encode.org was a law firm, we are all partners. So there are no employed person. We are all partners. The secretary is a partner. The office manager is a partner. The head of IT is a partner. And the lawyer is a partner. So we're all partners. And then we've got a plan, an earnings plan, specifying specific criteria such as knowledge, but mostly how close are partners to the organization's purpose with their work. So this is the main criteria for what you earn, how close you are in furthering the organization's purpose. Who decides upon how much I get? I don't. Someone else does. The one who has the earnings plan advisor role. He decides. He doesn't have to ask me. I can have attention later on, but he decides for all partner members of the organization. And that's it. So it's truly distributed authority.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because the reason I left quite a cozy job as a COO, Chief Operating Officer, in a leading national law firm was I had no chance, never ever be a partner in a law firm because I'm not a fee earner.
Irina, I thought you left the company because you were assigned to redecorate the office.
That's what you know, bigger purpose.
Well, let's revert to this question. So, what's going on in the classical law firm in Ukraine when the managing partner decided to come in the office in the morning, and also decided that he don't like this office anymore and he wanted to be redecorated? What's going on next? Next 5 years?
Next 5 years now. It depends on which law firm we're talking about, but usually with strict direct order to office manager or to administrative director, it would be set by this partner, you know, we need to redecorate the reception area. And there is a contact of my designer, and she's probably my wife.
Oh yeah, she's my wife. Yeah.
My daughter.
My daughter, yeah, my daughter-in-law or whatever. And I'm just, you know, waiting you in a couple of hours with the report. How much does it take in time and in money? So how much does it cost, and how many days we need to, you know, can we accomplish the project in 2 days, please? Just, you know, over the weekend. That's usually done. But it can't be, it can be also another situation, and a well-established, also hierarchical, but westernized national law firm. The managing partner could call an executive director and said, you know, I just wanted to put an issue of redecorating our reception area to a partner's meeting agenda. That's because, you know, I've heard from one of my clients, we are a little bit outdated, or it's not so, you know, fresh or modern or so whatsoever. And then a lot of democratic procedure would apply. Something like you described for your meetings in Holacracy system.
I would like to add one thing, because what ENCODE really does is, of course, we use Holacracy for these different areas of decision-making. Ownership is one, work governance is the second, and work operations is the third. But what we also do as ENCODE.org is that we say Holacracy is known for role without soul. So it's only technical stuff, let's say, you can discuss, but not interpersonal issues such as conflict, feedback, whatsoever. So what ENCODE.org does is to offer another space, as we call it, for all these interpersonal issues. Because just because Holacracy says it mustn't be talked about during an operational tactical meeting, it's still there. So what we really do is that we are convinced that this kind of communication, Irina, this is why I talk about it, like interpersonal communication, difficult stuff actually, yeah, is normal and but the different rules apply, more like mediation style, negotiation style, knowing your own personal differences, knowing your personal patterns. It's a lot about self-reflection and personal growth altogether. But this is separate from these three areas I mentioned: ownership rights, work governance, and work operations. So the great thing ENCODE.org offers to the world is to say this is a separate space, and we will tell you how to deal with communication in this space.
So I'm very thankful for this comment. But if I just make to, you know, shift a little bit our discussion and from internal issue, like, you know, reception area is internal issue, to external one and to external communication. Like, you know, let's imagine that the client of this law firm prefer to work only with this particular person. And say, you know, I like to work with Dima for all projects. And it's no, in my frame of reference, it's clash a little bit with this functional role approach that you have in Holacracy.
Yes, it does.
And in my frame of reference, the clients is the god who's shaping the whole business of law firm.
Yeah. Yes, to some extent I agree, even though Dima wants us to argue fierce arguments. But yes, I mean, I'm sorry, I agree. This is a price you have to pay for this clarity of roles. I've had a similar situation where I had to hand over, yeah, because my stage was exploring and now it's cultivating the opportunity and then it's serving the client. And indeed, yeah, we don't have a client partner as law firms have. Law firms usually, as far as I know them, have both. They have the client partner who stays with the client, yeah, in corporate law, in labor law, in all the issues in strategy and tax. And then you've got the lawyer dealing with a case, like with a labor law issue and so on. So in law firms, you really have both, I find. And in a Holacracy run firm, you don't have that. Or we don't have it so far. Of course, you could probably introduce a role, yeah, which stays the same, but it will be different, and that's a price, yeah.
Well, you know, when I hear such examples of when the client want to work with particular partner, I remember how I worked in one company, and we had a client who wanted to work with particular partner. Well, I'm not sure I know what is English for the bit bold, but the partner exactly, well, here, when the client wanted to meet with him, with this particular partner, this partner prior to, about 1 hour prior to the meeting, he called me and told that, Dima, we have a meeting in 1 hour, please give me all the materials and explain me everything about the case. So in reality, I think that there is no need to follow all the clients to do what client ask, because I hardly imagine that I can go to Microsoft and ask that Bill Gates sell me the software.
Well, that Apple changes his computers because you're not happy with them. Yeah, this would not happen.
But that's the difference between, you know, buying goods and providing services.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
and that's why the hierarchy makes sense somehow in my head. You know, the hierarchy is now quite, how to say it? It's not a simple hierarchy like it was, you know, at the beginning of.
Let's change a little bit. Well, let's move forward first of all. Let's move forward and let's think about business. So we set up a law firm to make profit of that, right? And which structure helps us to scale our business quickly and as much as possible? So which structure is better for scaling?
Actually, I don't know. Because what is good for scaling in the services industry? Well, if you come from a point of view that it's about trusted advisor only, you can't scale anyway. So it's me, I give the advice, I've got 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and so on. Yeah, so this is not a scalable business per se. This is why legal tech and all these new startups have a real disruptive force onto the market, because they scale. Yeah, so I think it's a different discussion, really. I don't see the direct link to either a hierarchical or an agile organization. The only perhaps link I see is that an agile law firm, Holacracy, Run, Sociopretty, whatever, is much more open for innovation, and it's much better to change quickly, to react, to adapt. And these days, the market really requires, at least in Germany and Europe, law firms to change, to adapt to legal tech. And I think an agile organization is much better in doing that. So if this is part of scaling, I see agile at the first spot.
Well, I think that in the last century, the hierarchy was the best corporate structure for scaling. Because if I want to open the office in Kazakhstan, I find the partner there. This partner finds the senior lawyers, and also I hire the junior lawyers. And I have a partner, and I have a hierarchy. And I have a partner, for example, in the UK, who is higher in the hierarchy of that guy in Kazakhstan, and it works, and it worked. But now I'm not sure that in this century hierarchy is good for scaling, because something has changed. And I suggest to think about what has, and to speak about what has changed, mm-hmm. and why, and how to deal with that. But before we start talking about that, Irina, what is your opinion about the scaling, and which structure is better for scaling for the law firms?
You know, I think you dare mention Kazakhstan, because I didn't open it there, mm-hmm. and it's not about hierarchy. It was about the culture. So the hierarchy, in my frame of reference, is definitely better to control things.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to
opposition,
illusion of control, you definitely have.
Okay.
Illusion of control, you definitely have. But you know, in the head of owner, this is the only structure how to control this organization.
Yes, yeah. Okay.
And law firm partners and micromanagement, they are completely, you know, they symbiotically exist in my practice. You can't avoid that managing partner going through the office and doing something like micromanagement. Just, you know, not in my world, not in my life, maybe next life. Mm. But there is illusional control, but it's still on the same scale. You can do this control thing 24/7, you know, exhausting partner at all, but definitely you can do it. For scaling, my experience is for the good scaling, you need to combine, definitely recognize local culture, and accept that some level of control needs to be done. And shared responsibility might be the good answer in this situation. I mean, not in last century. I'm talking about, like, we had opened offices in Kazakhstan, maybe it was 2009, 2010. So it's like 7-8 years ago. This was a combination. And I don't know where you want to move our discussion, Dima, but I want to propose we move it to the terminology. It seems to me that, you know, once in a while you need just to put new tags on all things. And not about the whole holacracy approach, but in some part of it, I see just new tag on all things, good things. What do you think, Joe?
No, definitely not. So 100% not, because at least, well, I don't work in a Holacracy law firm, because there's no Holacracy law firm in the world as far as I know. My experience comes from encode.org. Yeah, so Holacracy run, and Holacracy is part of the legal agreement of the LLC. So ownership rights, investor rights, yeah. And nothing, really hardly anything is like things I've ever experienced before in traditional. I work with Freshfields, traditional law firm. I'm at the traditional elite private law school in Hamburg. Yeah, I've seen many, many law firms from the inside. I can really tell you that culture, structure, individual behavior, and individual attitudes are completely different. I don't see anything, and it really, to me personally, this is the best thing that happened in my life apart from my family, that I can work with encode, because it challenges me to the very, very high extent, but it gives me so much satisfaction, this combination of purpose and very, very fruitful and professional work in another setting. I have never experienced this before. I can't compare it to anything I've experienced before, really.
I'm really happy to hear it, but what the practice meeting is, like, you know, in normal, let's say normal hierarchical law, traditional law firm, the tradition, I'm sorry to say it twice, tradition of a practice meeting is a quite mirroring, in my frame of reference, the meetings you have in the Holacracy system.
Say that again. Sorry, I just didn't hear you very well. The sound.
Yep.
The sound
I think the tradition of practice meeting,
yes.
regular practice meeting.
Okay.
That's very
yes.
similar to what you
yes.
told about the meeting in Holacracy.
Definitely. So the meeting structure on the operational or tactical meeting, yeah, that is comparable, and you can also only introduce this meeting structure to a conventional organization and change it a bit, but you will never, ever have the change you have when you introduce governance meetings and when you introduce Holacracy to ownership rights and investor rights. This, what we do it, is really different. But yes, for the meeting practices only, I agree.
Irina, Joe, I see that we need to compare Holacracy to hierarchy now, because what Irina tries to say, as I can see, is that Holacracy is very similar to hierarchy, right? And we just have
not
another
very
names.
similar, but there are a lot of moments that we can, you know, find there and there.
Let's compare these moments. Let's compare and see where are the differences, and are these differences good or bad?
Mm-hmm.
So
okay,
let's start. Where to start.
Yeah. So we've got, let's stick with the 3 areas: operational meetings, governance, so work governance, who has which authority, who has which accountability, and the third, ownership rights and investor rights. So Irina, personally, I have never experienced a meeting in a law firm that is run comparable to a Holacracy tactical meeting. I have experienced many awful meetings where law firm partners talk for 5 minutes and talk, and it's never facilitated. So I haven't had this experience in operational. I definitely haven't had it in governance, because governance it's a power play, it's ego, yeah, and roles are given out by informal or formal hierarchy, but not by a decision-making process. And definitely you would not have it in ownership. So all partners have 1 vote in regarding profits and so on. And in, at least in Code's world, you don't have that any longer. So there's no members meeting deciding on profits, and every member has a vote. This doesn't exist any longer. So I really don't see comparable, but give me an example and we will.
I think I am working in a context where law firms in size are far, far, far from the law firm you have experienced with. So like, you know, the medium-sized law firm in Ukraine is like 20-25 lawyers. Yeah. So it's quite a small environment. Mm-hmm. So that's why I see in my context, there are no so much difference. But I agree with you, the current meeting, they never involved all lawyers, because they are not partners. Mm. And what do you think about veto right? Because I love veto right in partnership.
You love it?
Well,
I love it. And I tell you why. Because
why do you love it, Irina? Why?
I tell you, I saw when veto right can be just, you know, the stuck point because of ego. But from the other hand, it may save partnership from a huge mistake where emotions very high when they are making decisions. Mm-hmm. So the veto right is like a stop point, a pit stop, just to calm down, to take another round of discussion, because you just need to you just need to talk to this partner and, you know, bring him back to partnership, to the same ground, and to the unanimous decision. That's why I love veto right.
Okay, so I tell you, ENCODE has a better answer to veto right. So first of all interpersonal stuff is dealt with in the space for interpersonal relationship, be it conflict or positive or whatever. and it can't be mixed during a meeting. So if something interpersonal happens during a governance or not, you mustn't talk about it. No chance, and you won't. Yeah, you have to swallow. But you can be sure that you will have the chance, yeah, to deeply explore interpersonal differences whenever you want, a day later or an hour later. Yeah. And so you don't need this to calm down, because you have to calm down because meeting procedure doesn't allow you to show your emotions or to get a response to your emotions. Secondly, we don't need a veto right because we've got this integrative decision making in governance. Yeah, it's not about vetoing, and it's not about loving the decision. It's just saying, okay, I can agree to it, or I still can't. So my objection has to be integrated. But it just has, integration only has to go that far that I say, okay, so I bear this decision, but I don't have to love it. So it's something like in between, yeah? So we don't need veto rights because we've got this process that is very structured and very strict how to integrate objections without emotions.
I'm really happy. I'm really jealous of you when you can, separate personal and individual stuff. That's probably, I never seen in my life.
Yes, me neither before, Irina, but since ENCODE, I'm experiencing this, and it's great.
Yeah, it's really great, but it's also human to bring our personal stuff there, and yes, that's probably where we go into quite an interesting question for myself. Is it more for younger people?
No.
Because I saw a lot of publications that middle age. I'm quite old.
Me too. Hang on. So
there are a lot of studies how middle ages can adjust themselves to agile, to all this new managerial style or managerial system.
Okay.
Irina Jo, may I please comment on your voting, on your voting idea? I think that in Holacracy, you cannot just block the discussion because you do not, because of your ego. You just need to integrate why you are opposed to the decision. And you have to integrate your idea with the one who suggested something. So you cannot block it. But it works only with the right people. Because there are people who really can bring their ego to the meeting and use emotions. All we are humans, yeah, we use our emotions. Let's move to the other interesting question.
Dima, just before you move, you just described the veto procedure in law firm partnership, as I see it.
Yeah, and before we move on also, Dima, I want to answer to Irina. I don't think it's specific to a certain age. At least at ENCODE, our age range is between 28 and 72. So it works. But you need partners or members who want to, who may and who can apply these processes of self-organization by free choice. So it's not for everyone, and it's not meant to be for everyone. It's like a framework for those who want to work this way.
Irina, when you on the same ground, because hierarchy is also have to be accepted by people. Not all people can work in hierarchy. That's why we have holacracy.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Well, I, as a managing partner, can come to the office in the morning and say that starting from today, we work in holacracy. So this is how holacracy works. Well, it was a funny joke. Irina, when you told about the age, did you really wanted to say about millennials? Yes. Do you think that the problem is that we are following the marketing about the millennials, and we believe that we need to build a different ecosystem for millennials, but in reality it is really just the same, and we just need to be honest with ourselves that millennials does not exist, and we just need to manage them with the old instruments of hierarchy.
My strong opinion, and no offense, please, no offense, but my strong opinion is The new generation is a generation with a quite specific psychological needs. They need to be part of something bigger, but they have a problem with attachment. That's a psychological context I mentioned in my letter to Joe, so I will use it sometime. So from psychological point of view, the millennials need something, I call it new toy. So you just need to bring new things, as I said, put new tags on old things, just to entertain them, just to give them, you know, a special treatment, let's say special treatment. Mm. That's how I see things. It's not about holacracy, it's not about hierarchy, it's not about bad, good, privileges, disadvantages. It's about to deal with new generation, to involve them and to have their productivity at a high level. You need to entertain them, to include them, and holacracy do it perfectly.
Mm. You want an answer? Yeah, well, I probably answered to Dima what you said earlier. What has changed? And I think there are two big streams of change in the world right now. The first is technology or digitization of the economy and of society, blockchain and whatsoever. This is the first stream of change, and the second is a so-called democratization of the society. This has been triggered perhaps or pushed by the so-called millennials or Generation Y or whatever you call them. And yes, I know I work at a law school. Yeah, we've got these people around every day, and I see the problems you've described, Irina. But I don't see that holacracy is an answer to entertain millennials with a psychological problem. Yeah, I see holacracy and sociocracy and other agile methods as an answer to something that is in the world, yet apart from any millennial. So it's a need and desire and a longing for something bigger than yourself, for having a purposeful work, for knowing what you're here to in the world. And I don't, perhaps millennials do a bit too much of this desire or interest, but it's in the world and it can be balanced. And yeah, we show, yeah, for us, we find our answer.
The small reservation. I've not told there is a problem. I said there is a difference. Mm. There is a difference. It's not a problem.
It's not a problem. It's an opportunity, right?
It's a difference. Just different.
Ira, Joe, we have a couple of questions in the online from the online translation, and first of them is to Joe, and maybe to myself also. Is there a size of a company or a project when holacracy becomes a chaos? How to not let it happen?
Okay, these are really two questions. So the first part of the question is there a maximum size of partners? Yeah.
No, is there a size of a company when holacracy becomes a chaos? Well, right. What is the maximum size of the holacracy?
Yeah, yeah. So that's the first part of the question is. The biggest really known company I know of is Zappos in the US, and they have 300 or even more yet employees still. Yeah, so people working. So, and it's not a chaos. I don't know whether it can scale to much more. I haven't had experience in these kind of organizations. We are currently 12 or 13 partners, so a small number at encode.org. And then read the second part of the question, Dima.
How not to let this happen?
Oh yeah, how not to let this happen. Yeah, I actually don't think it happens. How not to let this happen? If you stay strictly with holacracy as a rule set, and you have people trained in holacracy and accepting it and separating interpersonal issues from it, because you have another space for it, then I don't think there will be chaos. And the answer is your purpose must be a strong and combining element of doing business. So really what you line up to is your purpose, and this prevents you from chaos, together with the strict rules.
Well, my opinion is that any businesses are Well, okay, I worked only in a couple of companies, and in that companies, I was not sure that everything is properly managed, and that, and I always felt like there is a chaos in a company. Either it was a small chaos or it was a big chaos. But anyway, I think that we all live in the chaos, and each company works in the chaos because business is a chaos. You cannot predict what will happen in 1 month or in 2 months. You can maybe predict what will happen in 10 years or in 100 years, but not in 1 year. Even especially in Ukraine right now. So I think that management and different approaches to management of the organization is just the way how to manage this chaos, good or bad. So the second question is to Irina.
Dima, let me comment on the previous question because it is quite juicy. In hierarchical structure, you definitely know what happen when the chaos happens. If you have more than 4 layers in your hierarchy, and if you have more than 160 people, that's become unmanageable, or you need to have a substructures. And I completely on the same page with you. The new way of managing organization, the new way of organizing the structure and teams, it's definitely the answer, the reaction on this unpredictable, or how it quite, you know, new term VUCA world. So volatile, unpredictable, blah, 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 all these things. So, and hierarchy, definitely, and there's the weakest point, can do something quite quickly. I can't adopt very quickly because, you know, you just depends on top managers, on their decisions, like in family. You know, parents will decide. Even if you can do something right here and right now, you will never do it, or in rare cases do it because parents can decide and parents will, you know, take care about it. That's the weakest point of hierarchy I can see right now, here and now.
And the question to you is sound like, how do you mitigate the biases of hippos in the hierarchy?
Hippos?
High potentials. Yeah, high potentials. Oh, that's quite an interesting issue. You'd better have them, you know, promoted to partners before your competitors just stole them from you. It's not about creation. It's about, you know, just a competition. It's war for talents. It not depends on hierarchy or, you know, holacracy. It's war for talents.
Well, I'm not sure what exactly Andrei means by the acronym HIPPOS, because I think that it's
high potentials. We are talking about the same thing. It's high potentials. So it's, you know, quite valuable. You're quite valuable.
Or maybe Andrei, please describe this notion, because I think that he means that a highest paid person in the room. Means the guy who has the highest salary in the for example, on the negotiations, and probably this can be the partner, and his voice is the last one. So I think that the question was about this situation. Oh yes, highest paid person, highest paid person's opinion.
Okay. So it's not about highest pay. It's about weight of your voice in a partnership. It's not definitely the same. It might coincide, but not always.
Well, let me give you an example. You have a meeting about I don't know, the litigation which the company supports, and you have a meeting about the legal about the, I don't know, discussion of the legal grounds of this litigation, and who has the last voice, how to do. Either it is a partner who is the hippo, or it can be, or his voice and his position can be argued.
must see no relevance. I really see no relevance. If we're talking about, considering which position to take in the court, all opinions are valued. Because, not high-paid person at the stakes, client at the stake.
I see the difference, Dima and Irina, perhaps regarding management decisions and client work. I think client work is really the domain of the partner doing the client work. And perhaps he or she would ask for feedback, on a friendship level or whatever. But regarding management decisions, we could have a situation like that. For example, should we open up one office in Kazakhstan, Whose voice is heard the most? Or should we close down Berlin office? Or, should we make Irina to partner, yes or no? This might probably be a use case for the question. And I think what's behind the question is not so much the person who gets paid the most, but about informal hierarchy. It can be someone, like the senior partner behind the scenes, who's informally the most influential person, and he or she will exert this influence by indirect means most of the time.
I think it's the issue of culture. If you can dispute with the authority or you cannot. I think it's it have no direct connection to hierarchy or holacracy, because you can just feel shy, I don't know, disputing with the authority, or you cannot. So.
Well, Dima, or another quite important, the way of discussion or answer on this question might be if we have considering conflict of interest. So who would decide? Who would decide, are we taking the these clients or not? And have you heard about this recent, quite well-known case with a white case partner? And the disqualification and punishment and so on and so forth. So there is where some influential or high-paid partners may, practice their power. The conflict of interest.
Well, my feeling is that the question was about when managing partner comes to the office and says that he wants to change the color of I don't know of the printer in the office because he doesn't like it, because he's the highest paid guy in the company, so he should decide. So his voice is the last one. Well, fine. Let's finish with that question, and we have 8 minutes left. Let's move to the final question. What the company of the future will look like, and to somehow define this future, what the company of 2030 will look like.
Okay, let me start.
Will we still have the law firms in 2030?
Yeah. So my answer when I prepared was no more law firms. That's the future of the law firms if they continue this way, with ignoring technology and ignoring new way of working. There will be products and scalable things, and no qualified lawyers doing the same work. So this is Richard Susskind et al. But I hope, or not but, I hope, how will a law firm look like in 2030? It will be purposeful and highly profitable at the same time, but not profit-driven. It will be flexible regarding working hours and lifestyles and so on. There will be a good mix of male and female partners at work, and there will be a good mix of male and female responsibilities at home, and there will be distributed authority. They are all partners.
Well, you prepared for the answer. Thank you, Irina.
Just a couple hours ago, I registered a new company in Bulgaria. It takes me 15 minutes. I was sitting on my balcony, and all I need to do, because I'm a foreigner, go to notary and notarize my signature in the presence of translator. That's all. So I agree with Joe. If law firm goes as they go now, it's not a good way of doing things. Technology is definitely doing something with any business on the planet, and law firm in particular. But technology, the technology is technology itself, but people are still, humans. And all people still need as a good communication is the value of themselves. And, how I see law firm of the future, we are talking about law firm of the future, I may say there are already some of them on the planet, like shared responsibility, only equity partners, never matters where you're working, in Europe, Moscow, Delhi or whatever, all valued, female and male, I agree. And what I especially love about hierarchy, it's mentoring. So, the elder and experienced people, they're obliged, I'm sorry to, they must, to produce a new talents. They must produce new talents. I have a discussion with one of a very known Ukrainian law firm partner. What is the elite law firm? How you can describe elite law firm? Is it a client base? Is it a, maybe profit or revenue or whatever? And, we discussed it like for months and then decided that maybe one trait of a law firm, elite law firm, is this law firm still producing talents and producing new partners. And, they are sharing power of developing this law firm and responsibility, of course.
I think that the ideal company is the one where I love to work. Well, just a few hours ago, I received a paper about the financial results of the companies of the Magic Circle, and I highlighted the one phrase of the guy from Accenture. He told that if you try to hang on to your legacy business, you will lose. 1/2 of the Fortune 500 have disappeared over the last 10 years because they failed to move on to the new. So thank you very much. As a result of our call, I do not know what is good and what is bad for holacracy or for hierarchy. And even I think that all this is bullshit, because the key is communication. So thank you very much, Joe. Thank you very much, Irina. Hopefully we will have more calls with you.
Yes.
So do you have anything to say as a checkout?
Enjoyed discussing. Yeah, I'm ready to do more of this. And also, yeah, welcome or bye-bye to the listeners. And it was good fun. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dima. Thank you, Joe. It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye, ladies.
Bye-bye.